Breaking news! The Baltimore Ravens unfortunately failed to make it to Super Bowl 59, but Coach John Harbaugh has made it clear that he will not accept missing out on Super Bowl 60. And to do that, they need to correct the mistakes of last season and find quality reinforcements for the team. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Before continuing, make sure you've already hit the like button, but only do so if you really believe that we will make it to Super Bowl 60. If possible, write something like, "Go Ravens! Nothing will stop us." The Baltimore Ravens are at the center of a shocking trade proposal that has fans excited. According to behind-the-scenes information, a potential blockbuster deal could send Dallas Cowboys star edge rusher Micah Parsons to Baltimore. At first glance, this seems like a dream scenario, adding an all-pro caliber pass rusher to an already formidable Ravens defense. But the cost? A 2025 first-round pick, veteran pass rusher Kyle Van Noy, and here's the kicker, wide receiver Zay Flowers. Now, let's be real. The idea of bringing in Micah Parsons is electrifying. He's a game breaker, the kind of defensive talent who instantly makes a team better. The Ravens had a strong pass rush last season, but consistency was an issue, and adding Parsons would elevate the unit to elite status. However, the proposed trade would come at a steep price. Losing a first-round pick is manageable, and parting ways with Van Noy, while difficult, makes sense given his age. But giving up Zay Flowers? That's where things get controversial. Flowers, Baltimore's first Pro Bowl wide receiver in franchise history, is coming off a stellar season with over 1,000 yards. He's young, dynamic, and has already built a strong connection with Lamar Jackson. Trading him away would leave the Ravens with Rashad Bateman, who has shown flashes of brilliance but hasn't been as consistent. The Ravens have struggled for years to develop elite receiving talent, and now that they finally have one, would it really make sense to send him packing? Bleacher Report argues that elite pass rushers are harder to find than top-tier receivers. While that may be true in a broad sense, the Ravens aren't exactly a team known for drafting and developing great wideouts. Flowers represents a shift in philosophy, a genuine attempt to surround Lamar Jackson with serious weapons. Trading him away could be seen as a step backward, especially when the team is aiming to keep its offense explosive. Another factor is Parsons' contract situation. Dallas has been slow to extend him, and there's speculation that they might not be able to afford massive deals for Parsons, Dak Prescott, and CeeDee Lamb. But if the Cowboys can't make the money work, how would Baltimore? The Ravens aren't exactly swimming in cap space, and while they could restructure deals to make room, it wouldn't be an easy move. There's also the question of how Parsons would fit into Baltimore's system. The Ravens already have talented edge rushers like Odafoa and David Ohabo, though neither has reached Parsons' level. Would Parsons transform this defense into an unstoppable force? Probably. But does that justify dismantling an offense that's finally showing balance? That's the debate. The proposal also raises bigger questions about the Ravens' direction this offseason. Will they prioritize defense over keeping their offensive core intact? Are they willing to make bold, aggressive moves to chase a Super Bowl? And more importantly, how would Lamar Jackson feel about losing one of his top weapons? Ravens fans, this is where you come in. If this trade were on the table, would you pull the trigger? Is Parsons worth losing a future first-round pick, Kyle Van Noy, and, most importantly, Zay Flowers? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments. One of the biggest concerns with this proposed trade is how it would impact Lamar Jackson and the Ravens' offensive chemistry. After years of struggling to find a true number one receiver, Baltimore finally landed a young star in Zay Flowers. His route running, explosiveness, and chemistry with Jackson have been crucial in elevating the Ravens' passing game. Taking him out of the equation would mean reshuffling the receiving core yet again, putting even more pressure on Rashad Bateman, tight ends Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, and any potential offseason additions. If Baltimore were to trade Flowers, they would have to be absolutely certain that they could replace his production. And let's be honest, historically, the Ravens haven't had much success in acquiring top-tier receivers through free agency or the draft. This move would signal that Baltimore is prioritizing defense over offensive continuity, a decision that could have major repercussions for the team's Super Bowl aspirations. And then there's the contract situation. If the Ravens were to acquire Parsons, they'd need to sign him to a massive extension, likely making him the highest-paid defensive player in the league. That would require serious cap maneuvering, especially considering they already have high-dollar contracts on the books for players like Jackson, Roquan Smith, and Ronnie Stanley. Would the Ravens be able to keep their defensive core intact while also paying Parsons? And would they be willing to commit that kind of money when they already have young pass rushers like Odafoa and David Ohabo waiting in the wings? Another factor that makes this trade questionable is Kyle Van Noy's role in it. Van Noy played a huge part in the Ravens' defense last season, leading the team with 12.5 sacks. While he's 33 years old, his veteran presence and leadership were invaluable. Losing him alongside Flowers would mean Baltimore is not only giving up talent, but also experience, something that could hurt in the playoffs when leadership matters most. On the flip side, there's no denying that Parsons is a generational talent. He's the type of player that defensive coordinators dream about, someone who can line up anywhere and completely disrupt an offense. The idea of pairing him with Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, if he stays, is tantalizing. It would make the Ravens' defense one of the scariest in the league and could give them an edge in the AFC, where stopping quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow is a must. But is one elite defender worth sacrificing a budding star receiver and a key veteran? The Ravens have long been known for their defensive identity, but in today's NFL, offensive firepower wins championships. Just look at recent Super Bowl teams. Having a dynamic passing attack is no longer a luxury. It's a necessity. If the Ravens go through with this trade, they'll be making a statement. They believe an elite pass rusher is more valuable than an emerging top receiver. It would be a gamble, one that could either propel them to a championship or set them back by stripping Jackson of one of his most reliable weapons. So, Ravens flock, what do you think? Would you trade Zay Flowers, a first-round pick, and Kyle Van Noy for Micah Parsons? Would Parsons be the missing piece for a Super Bowl run, or would Baltimore be making a mistake by weakening the offense? Drop your thoughts in the comments. One major aspect to consider in this trade debate is Baltimore's recent history with wide receivers. The Ravens have struggled for years to develop homegrown talent at the position, often relying on veterans or short-term solutions. Zay Flowers represented a turning point, a legitimate young playmaker who could be a cornerstone of the offense for years to come. Trading him away after just one season would feel like deja vu for fans who watched the team fail to retain or properly utilize players like Marquise Brown, Antoine Bolden, or even Torrey Smith. Flowers isn't just another receiver. He's the best young wideout the Ravens have had in franchise history. His speed, agility, and ability to make tough catches have been game changers, and his chemistry with Lamar Jackson was evident from the start. Losing him would force Jackson to build new trust with other targets, which isn't always a quick process. While Rashad Bateman has potential, he has yet to fully establish himself as a true WR1. Would the Ravens go into 2025 relying on Bateman and a new and proven receiver to fill Flowers' shoes? The counterargument, of course, is that Baltimore has won plenty of games without elite wide receivers in the past. The team has historically built itself on defense and a dominant run game. If adding Parsons turns the defense into an unstoppable force, maybe the Ravens don't need a high-flying passing attack. Maybe the team is confident enough in its system that it believes Jackson can thrive even without a top receiver. That's what Bleacher Report seems to be suggesting by saying Baltimore has proven it can field a functional offense without top receiving talent. But is functional enough? Lamar Jackson is in his prime, and the Ravens have the pieces to field an elite offense. Would subtracting Flowers set them back when they should be pushing forward? It's a fair question. So, Ravens flock, where do you stand? Do you pull the trigger on this trade and go all in on an elite defense? Or do you keep your offensive core intact and find another way to improve the pass rush? Drop your takes in the comments, and let's talk about it.